Starmer with that sense of under promise, over deliver. It will. I mean, if he was making the great speeches, it would be, can we do it? Probably not. Ask not what your country can do for you, for fear of disappointment. And this is relentless management. It's only the art of the possible. I'm sure if you sent a Christmas card from Keir Starmer, it would say, wishing you a responsible Christmas and a fully costed New Year.
Keir Starmer's political career is swiftly unravelling, and the speed of this decline is so astonishing that even the most jaded observers can't help but take notice. His meticulously crafted image as an honest and incorruptible politician, once thought to be unassailable, is starting to show significant cracks in front of the entire nation. Alarming revelations about plans to raise taxes by an astounding £40 billion are sending shockwaves through the political landscape. Stay tuned as we dissect that pivotal moment when Starmer, losing his cool on camera, revealed the disappointment of a leader whose tactics have failed. When Keir Starmer took the helm of the Labour Party, he positioned himself as the saviour that British politics so desperately needed. But now, his true character is coming to light, leaving many feeling anxious and confused. How did it come to this?
We're not going to be raising tax on working people, so that means no increase in income tax, in national insurance and in VAT.
It's interesting actually, I notice how he looks down all the way, so he's reading off a sheet which I hadn't picked up before. Oh, to have that bit of paper.
None of our plans require tax rises over and above the ones we've set out.
So you can say now there will not be an increase in council tax?
Look, Nick, what I'm not going to do is sit here...
Is not say that. That's what you're not going to do. We can see that clearly, Keir.
Every time you say, we're not going to raise VAT, we're not going to raise it, and everybody says, what about council tax? You say, well, I honestly can't. You know what people are thinking. You're a bright bloke. Council tax will go up.
Yeah. It was absolutely staggered there when I told him he was a bright bloke.
None of our plans require a tax rise.
Will it go up or when to go up, Sir Keir?
None of our plans require a tax rise. No, Nick, because I do need to explain this.
I think you've had your time, respectfully.
And then he was off to a Taylor Swift concert, so he couldn't hang about.
Skepticism started to rise among both supporters and opponents. Some Labour Party supporters began to question whether Starmer's centrism was undermining the party's core values, while Conservative critics labelled him as lacking charisma and strength. Over time, his carefully crafted image began to show signs of wear. The leadership style that was once lauded for its calmness and balance started to be viewed as indecisiveness and uncertainty. Political positions that initially appeared clear became increasingly ambiguous and confusing under scrutiny. The first signs of public discontent emerged when Starmer attempted to adopt a consistent opposition stance regarding the government's actions during various crises. Voters, who were once captivated by his promises of honesty and accountability, began to feel a profound sense of disappointment. The disparity between Starmer's lofty rhetoric and the harsh realities of political leadership became increasingly evident. As we will see, this mounting frustration is on the verge of reaching a breaking point, and the meticulously crafted image of St. Keir is beginning to unravel.
Your argument is we've fundamentally misunderstood Keir Starmer.
His messianic streak is about my destiny is to rebuild the country. That's going to be very, very difficult, and it's going to annoy lots of groups of people around the country. He's going to upset, I suspect, quite a lot of people relying on selling capital for their income because there's going to be increasing capital gains tax. He's going to upset people who want to cascade their wealth down to their children and their children's children. I think there will be inheritance tax changes. Eventually they will upset people in the south of England because they're going to revalue council tax. And it desperately needs revaluation. But the impact of that will be, in effect, a transfer of resources from the richer parts of the south to the Midlands and the north of England and beyond into Wales. And that's absolutely essential, but will offend people. So I think there are lots of big fights to come. And my biggest worry about Keir Starmer and the Labour Party, I don't think they have run towards the arguments they really needed to have run towards and won to give themselves the preparation for what they're going to have to do in office.
The situation had reached a tipping point, and a real $40 billion crisis was on the verge of erupting, threatening Keir Starmer's political future. Do you recall that shocking news about the $40 billion? This isn't just a metaphor. It's a reality that has shaken the very foundations of British politics. Under his leadership, the Labour Party abandoned its plan for a tax increase, causing an uproar and disbelief among voters. How could a man who vowed not to impose new taxes justify such a massive hike? This question underscores just how quickly and unpredictably, the political landscape can shift. The announcement of Labour's plan to raise taxes by $40 billion hit the public like a devastating tsunami, instantly sweeping away Starmer's carefully crafted image. The media and public response was swift and unforgiving. Social media exploded with furious accusations of betrayal. Journalists who once praised Starmer's commitments to honesty and integrity now depicted him as just another untrustworthy politician. The stark contrast between Starmer's tax plan and his previous manifesto promises was both striking and shocking. All assurances of financial responsibility and protection for the working class vanished, leaving only the ashes of hope and deep disappointment.
I think we saw Keir Starmer kind of put on another persona, like it was, I've written today, it was like no more Mr. Nice Guy. And he's clocked up quite a few personas now. So you've had the sort of sheriff during the riots, like I'm going to lock them all up and I'm going to be Mr. Tough. We've had the statesman. You had then this week at this event, you had a sort of Boris Johnson type. Oh, I don't like the naysayers and the blockers. That was like a line from a Boris Johnson speech. And then you had a bit of kind of Rishi Sunak with, well, here are my pledges. And, you know, one insider said to me, oh, he was like cosplaying Boris and Rishi Sunak this week.
It is worth saying that just a few months ago, we sat here talking about the complete catastrophic Conservative Party prime ministerial.
Previous promises were overshadowed by massive tax increases that appeared to target the very people Starmer vowed to protect. Once the details of this increase emerged, it became clear that the primary financial burden would fall on the shoulders of workers, sparking a wave of outrage. Families already grappling with the cost of living crisis now face the threat of even deeper budget cuts, delivering a devastating blow to their livelihoods. Small business owners, who once looked to Labour for support, found themselves confronted with rising operating costs and uncertainty, further heightening their stress and anxiety.
Record. They changed prime ministers like even I changed my shoes. And
Didn't know what you were going to say.
No, my shoes. So they, in other words, it's
You
true.
only had 5 pairs of shoes in
Keir
14
Starmer
years.
may very well be demonstrating different facets to his one prime ministerial man that he is.
Yes.
But the Conservatives changed them so many times, the head was spinning.
Starmer vowed to usher in a new era of honesty and integrity, a sharp contrast to Boris Johnson's chaotic and scandal-ridden tenure. Many voters eagerly anticipated Starmer's leadership, hoping for meaningful change. His carefully crafted image as a credible alternative quickly gained traction, shining like a beacon of hope in a murky political landscape. His background as a former Attorney General lent additional weight to his claims of honesty, and he confidently asserted his commitment to transparency and accountability. This resonated deeply with those weary of political ambiguity and deceit. Initially, it appeared that his strategy was indeed effective. Polls indicated a rise in confidence in Starmer's leadership, and many voters genuinely believed he would deliver on his promises. It felt like a refreshing change in a world rife with cynicism and disappointment. His pledge not to raise taxes, in particular, struck a chord with the working class, who were grappling with soaring living costs and seeking at least a glimmer of hope for a brighter future. However, as is often the case in politics, that initial enthusiasm began to wane.
We're definitely going to be in recession, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And they talk about this 22 million black hole that they've found. But if they really want to be honest with it, evidently 9 billion of that is down to pay rises for the civil service. So you know, they're all looking after their own type of people, and I just feel Labour now are just too much, you know what I mean? Would I put Starmer and, was it Reeves and the other one, Rain or something, in charge of my business? The answer's no. I mean, but they're running the country.
You wouldn't have Keir Starmer running, you know, running your bath by the sounds of it.
Well, I wouldn't put him in charge of a broom, if I'm being honest with you. And that's being polite.
Yeah.
You know, they're just absolutely, they're not for the working people. They're all for giving money for people that don't contribute nothing.
Political opponents seized the opportunity to exploit this crisis. Rishi Sunak wasted no time in sharply criticising the Labour government for betraying its promises, emphasising that this budget had eroded the party's credibility and left the public in turmoil and despair. However, it was Nigel Farage who delivered the most scathing critique. labelling Starmer a liar and asserting that public trust in the Labour government had been irreparably harmed. These words rang out like a verdict, prompting many to question, how did hopes for change devolve into profound disappointment and a sense of betrayal? What are your thoughts on this video? Share your opinions in the comments, and see you next time.